Pilsen Historical Society and Rotary Board Director, will introduce today's guest speaker. Julie?
Thank you, Julie. Dr. Robert Fink is System Director, Pharmacy Services at University of Louisville Health. Bob holds a BS in Pharmacy and a Doctorate of Pharmacy degree from the School of Pharmacy at Mercy University, as well as an MBA from East Tennessee State University. Bob has been a fellow Rotarian for 13 years, most recently joining our downtown Rotary in July after relocating to Louisville. He was active member of the Oak Cliff, Dallas, and Brentwood Rotary, serving both as secretary and board member respectively. He is a Paul Harris Fellow at the major donor level, and it is indeed my pleasure to introduce to you my friend and neighbor, Dr. Robert Fink.
Well, thank you, Julie, and thanks everyone for allowing me to be this year's kickoff speaker. I want to provide some information on COVID vaccine, but first I'd like to provide an update on some other things here. I want to discuss treatments, the current vaccine candidates, as well as the vaccine distribution process. First, I'd like to give an update on Uofl Health. We're now a system of 5 hospitals with over 1,000 beds. We have 4 outpatient centers, and in addition, we have the Brown Cancer Center, and now we've recently added the Eye Institute. We're Kentucky's largest academic medical center with 12,000 employees, with over 700 physicians and allied health providers. We've had a successful turnaround in our first year, anticipating a deficit, and we had a $34.1 million normalized net income. We've improved our quality scores. We've recruited 43 new physicians, and we're currently recruiting 500 nurses. We've increased completed transplants 54%. We've improved access to care within Kentucky. We're Kentucky's only dedicated burn center. We're one of only 2 Kentucky level 1 trauma centers. We're one of only 2 organ transplant centers serving Kentucky. We've expanded primary care and into medically underserved areas. We're investing $60 million in capital, including 3D mammography, IT infrastructure, MRIs, cath labs, and robotics. We've opened a medical detox unit to serve the south end of the city. We've expanded the Brown Cancer Center to include Medical Center Northeast Campus. And we've added ICU beds to Shelbyville Hospital, and we've implemented 24/7 cath lab services to Mary Elizabeth Hospital. So looking at our service area, we provided care to patients in all 120 counties within the state. In just a minute on pharmacy services, we provide services to not only the downtown campus, but our suburban campuses. We also have an ambulatory pharmacy where we fill over 500 prescriptions per day. And this also includes a specialty pharmacy. Our specialty pharmacy became dual accredited by both URAC and ACHC this year. We're able to provide those expensive medications that you see advertised on TV. These are the drugs that cost thousands of dollars per month, some therapies even $1 million per year. We have renovated our inpatient pharmacy at University. We've renovated the pharmacy at the Brown Cancer Center, and we have a brand new state-of-the-art pharmacy at Med Center Northeast. The Board of Pharmacy will be there tomorrow to issue our license, so we're excited about that. And we have plans to renovate our pharmacies at Jewish Hospital, Mary Elizabeth Hospital, and our ambulatory and specialty pharmacies. So getting into the treatments, and I understand that you're anxious to hear about the vaccines, but I want to set the stage on how we were able to work with the Kentucky Hospital Association and the Kentucky Department of Public Health to be able to provide care to the patients across the system. And I just want to say we're so fortunate to have so many dedicated professionals across the state. They've taken on the extra challenge of caring for COVID-19 in addition to their already full-time jobs. And for example, last night, I was working with the state after 8 o'clock last night to obtain our COVID-19 vaccines for next week. And I know that they worked well into the night, knowing that they started with the largest hospitals in the state earlier in the evening. So first, remdesivir. Remdesivir is an antiviral drug to treat COVID-19 virus. It was first issued under emergency use criteria. This is a phase where there's not enough information for it to be fully approved by the FDA, but during a public health emergency, the FDA will authorize emergency use. This is not limited to just drugs. Many of the COVID tests were also authorized under emergency use, and devices can also be authorized under emergency use. So this product became available to us during the summer, and it was free to everyone in the United States under emergency use. Later, it became approved by the FDA, and at that time, overnight, the price became $530 per dose. So the first day of treatment requires a double dose, so it's over $1,000 for that first day's treatment. A general treatment course is about 4 to 5 days, so it costs roughly $2,500 average cost for a course of treatment. The drug is only distributed through one distribution channel, AmerisourceBergen. So the state of Kentucky would notify us of our allocations each week, and they got the allocation from Operation Warp Speed or CDC. So each week we would get an allocation. So again, it was no charge to begin with, but later, once the drug was approved by the FDA, there was a significant cost. So University of Louisville Hospital was one of the few hospitals in the state to step up, and we became a depot for this product. At one point, I had over $1 million of inventory of this product, and what we would do is receive it from AmerisourceBergen, then we would transfer doses to the Kentucky Hospital Association, and they would in turn distribute it to hospitals in need of this product. So moving on to other therapies, we have monoclonal antibodies. It was interesting, on Friday the 13th of this year, we had a call with the Kentucky Department of Public Health, and we were informed that we would be receiving bamlanivimab. And this was based on the previous experience that we had with remdesivir. I only expected that we would get about 10 doses. So we began making preparations to provide infusions at MedCenter Northeast. And what I wanted to do is keep these COVID positive patients away from our cancer patients at the downtown infusion center. So later Monday, we learned that we would be receiving 100 doses. So we quickly ramped up to provide infusions 10 hours a day, 7 days a week at MedCenter Northeast. And we began plans to expand to Mary Elizabeth Hospital and Shelbyville Hospital, bringing Shelbyville Hospital online by December 1st. So this required a lot of behind the scenes work to obtain medical staff approval to provide emergency use drug to patients, develop order forms, build orders within our computer systems. IT had to be set up to schedule our patients. We had to set up billing and coding for the payment. Now the drug was provided free, but we were allowed to pay for the IV fluids and the administration by our nurses. We had to provide nursing education. Pharmacy had to prepare logistics to provide and secure the medication. We had to communicate to our physicians that the drug was available and how to order it for patients. We had to develop procedures for caring for these COVID positive patients. We would greet them in their cars, escort them to the infusion suite, and then we would clean between each patient visit. So this actually required a 3-hour block of time, as the drug infusion was 1 hour, followed by 1 hour of monitoring after the infusion. And then we had to have time to clean the room, prepare for the next patient. Following the administration, we follow up. We call the patients the following day and then 5 days later. And on New Year's Eve, we provided infusions for 10 patients. And remember, it takes 3 hours for each patient. So New Year's Eve was a busy day being able to take care of our patients. So last week, we've expanded services to include our emergency departments at University and also Jewish Hospital. And once we have point-of-care COVID testing validated, we can expand to MedCenter South and MedCenter Southwest. So what this means is oftentimes patients will need a COVID test and it may take 24 hours for them to get a result. We are not able to provide immediate results in every location. So we've concentrated on our hospitals downtown, but once we can implement the testing in the outlying areas, we can now provide these infusions while the patient is still in the emergency department after we get positive results. So to assist us with this, Operation Warp Speed provided a playbook for us. So this provided information about the drug, the logistics, how to care for and monitor the patients. So this was very helpful. We didn't really have advanced access to this resource until probably the week that the drug became available. So next, a little bit more about the monoclonal antibodies. These are created in the lab. They neutralize the COVID-19 virus. They have these long names that are difficult to pronounce. So the Regeneron product is the product that President Trump received. It's a 2-drug cocktail. Often you may have heard it referred to as monoclonal antibody or antibody cocktail, or just by the manufacturer names, either the Eli Lilly product or the Regeneron product. But these products are currently free to us. They're also provided under emergency use authorization. The use is approved for outpatients only, and this is an effort to treat patients in the outpatient setting and prevent hospital admissions. But once approved by the FDA, it's likely these drugs will cost thousands of dollars per dose. Both products are injected in a bag of saline and infused over 1 hour. There is a potential risk of allergic reaction within the first 5 minutes of the infusion. During the trials, I believe there are only 2 reports of anaphylactic reactions. So that's why we must administer it in a facility where we can immediately treat an allergic reaction should it occur. Patients older than 12 years of age who meet the criteria of being obese or have diabetes, kidney disease, or immunosuppressed may receive the drug. Any patients over 65 years of age who are COVID positive, or those who are 55 years of age who have cardiopulmonary diseases and COVID positive may receive the therapy. And younger patients who have specific diseases such as childhood obesity, heart disease, or sickle cell disease are also eligible to receive this treatment. So as I mentioned before, we contact our patients the day following the infusion, then again on day 5. We've only had 1 patient who received the treatment to later be admitted, and we had 1 patient who didn't have improvements of symptoms who did not require admission. Most patients state that they feel better the next day. So moving on for the vaccine updates, we currently have 58 COVID vaccines in clinical trials. When we were planning to receive the vaccines, we were told to expect to have as many as 5 vaccines and be able to manage these. Currently, we have 2 available in the US under emergency use authorization. In the UK, they have another product, the Oxford AstraZeneca product. We use different technologies. So the first products that became available, and you've probably heard by now, the Pfizer or the BioNTech product. BioNTech is a German company. These vaccines use a new technology using messenger RNA to help stimulate our immune systems to fight off COVID-19. A couple differences here. The Pfizer product is a 2-dose vaccine. These are administered 3 weeks apart. Currently in phase 3 trials, and patients enrolled globally. And the Moderna product, same technology. Product again has 2 doses, but given in a 28-day interval. Also wanted to point out that several of these products are being funded by Operation Warp Speed. This really helps bring them to market sooner and helps with the distribution. The next candidates more likely to become available later this year. I already mentioned the Oxford AstraZeneca product is available in the UK. This is also available in a 2-dose vaccine given 28 days apart. There's a lot of excitement around the Johnson & Johnson Janssen product. It's being studied either as a single dose or a 2-dose vaccine. And the Merck vaccine, also using the viral vector technology. This is where we use a different virus. For example, the adenovirus, which is the virus that causes the common cold, is used to carry the genetic protein to help our immune systems fight off COVID-19. And the Merck product also being studied as either a 1 or a 2-dose regimen. These may be given at intervals of 2 months or 6 months. These studies are not as far along. These are in phase 2 trials presently. We may not see the Merck product approved until maybe late this year or early next year. Another interesting vaccine is by Indio. This is a DNA plasmid technology, not being funded by Operation Warp Speed. This is still in phase 1 trials. This uses DNA plasmid to code or provide a blueprint for our cells to stimulate our immune system to fight off COVID-19. Interesting about this technology, it's not an injection. It's given by a special delivery method to provide the vaccine within the layers of your skin. 2 other technologies, or one is protein subunit technology, also being used by Sanofi and GSK to help stimulate our immune systems. The challenge with the GSK study, they had an error in the production of the vaccine, so it was only half-dose vaccine that was being administered. So the FDA is requiring them to repeat their early studies. And the last technology is Inactivated Vaccine. This is the vaccine that's used in our seasonal flu vaccine. It's in a phase 3 trial in Turkey, so likely not to be approved this year. So as we roll into the spring, it's likely that we have a 3rd candidate, and late spring, possibly a 4th or 5th vaccine making it to the US market. To help us roll out the vaccines, the CDC provided a playbook to us. This is a 75-page document. It covered everything from marketing to product storage and distribution. Challenges with that, we just did not have a lot of specific product detail to allow us to make specific plans. And it was amazing. There was a lot of detail in the fine print in the tables and graphs within this document. Very comprehensive, very detailed. I actually read through it twice to make sure I understood it completely. Within that document, we had the initial COVID-19 vaccination plan. Originally, this was a 3-phase plan. Phase 1 consisted of phase 1A, where we'd have healthcare workers and healthcare workers closer to the front line of caring for COVID-19 patients. There was a phase 1B, and it was later modified to phase 1C. And looking at the graph, you see a high demand, but this circle indicates a period where we have very little vaccine available. So if you recall, around Christmas, the media was reporting that there may be tens of millions of doses being available by year end. And I had to look at that, like, really? You understand, like, year end is next week, and putting millions of doses to the supply chain at Christmas in times when the hospitals often try to reduce staff would be a challenge. And then you have to remember that when you're hearing, oh, well, there are 10 million doses, well, you have to really go back and remember, well, it takes 2 doses to treat a patient. So that's really half the number of patients being treated by the number of doses being reported. And also remember, as part of the process for COVID-19 vaccine, we have to report to the state, and then the state in turn reports daily every individual who received a vaccine the previous day. We have to account for every dose in inventory as well as any doses wasted. So it's a greater challenge than just providing the seasonal flu vaccine due to the tracking that's required. So some of the other challenges with logistics, as I mentioned before, Operation Warp Speed determines the allocations that each state is going to receive based on disease prevalence. The state, in turn, allocates product to the nursing homes and healthcare facilities. So right off the top, about 2/3 of the vaccine that we receive in Kentucky goes straight to the nursing home population. So Operation Warp Speed had contracted with both Walgreens and CVS for the pharmacists to provide the vaccine to nursing home residents and their staff. So again, if there were 1 million doses available to the state of Kentucky, 2/3 of that would immediately go to the nursing homes before becoming available to the healthcare facilities. Uofl was one of 11 Kentucky hospitals to receive the Pfizer vaccine week 1. Now, part of the challenge with the Pfizer vaccine, it requires ultra low temperature storage. And we had an untested supply chain. So if I was in charge, I wouldn't put tens of millions of doses through a supply chain when it has to be transported on dry ice. We wouldn't want it to arrive thawed and unusable. So really, we need to have the opportunity to test the supply chain. And another challenge with the Pfizer vaccine, it comes in trays of 195 vials. Initially, we were able to obtain 5 doses per vial. And then 2 days later, we had permission from the FDA to draw 6 doses per vial. Well, that works great for Uofl and larger systems. As I mentioned before, we have 12,000 employees, so 1,000 doses really would maybe cover night shift at the hospital. So a small hospital really couldn't accommodate 1,000 doses. They may not have that many employees. Then they're really not approved to provide the vaccine to people in different phases of distribution. So that in itself created a challenge as far as distribution. And as I mentioned before, this was being distributed during the holidays, the busiest time of year for FedEx and UPS with a high package demand or delivery demand there. For the Pfizer BioNTech product, it's shipped directly by the manufacturer and temperature monitored containers. The Moderna vaccine is shipped by McKesson. And both manufacturers' vaccines are shipped separately from the supply. So we get separate shipments of syringes, needles, alcohol wipes, PPE, the supplies necessary to administer the vaccines. So this is a picture of the shipping container. This is from Queens Hospital in Honolulu. I had the opportunity to spend a week at Queens Hospital summer before last, helping them with a project. This is a shipping container. It's difficult to see. We have electronic monitoring here for the temperature and location of the package. So these are wires coming through the package. On top here, this is the container that holds the pelletized dry ice. It's in this internal container here is what contains what we call the pizza box. It contains the vaccine, specifically engineered with a cutout on the side so we can see how many trays of vaccine are contained within this inner box. You see insulation on the top flap. It folds specifically such as if a blade is used to open the container, it will not cut through the wiring for the electronic monitoring. So in itself, it took engineering to develop the shipping container. This is a reusable shipping container. Once we receive vaccine, we must return it to Pfizer to be reloaded and shipped out to other hospitals. This container, when full, weighs about 70 pounds. And again, that contains about 40 pounds of pelletized dry ice. More specifics about the Pfizer product. It is a 2-dose regimen. The dose is 0.3 mLs, administered 21 days apart. As I mentioned before, we can now draw 6 doses per vial. You can see that it's actually labeled for 5 doses per vial. This requires ultra-low temperature freezers. That's minus 80 degrees centigrade. And our leaders at Uofl learned of this requirement early on. We actually purchased 2 additional ultra-low temperature freezers so we would be able to accommodate this. You saw the playbook before. The playbook told us that if we didn't have freezers in place, we could recharge those shipping boxes. So every 5 days we would replace the pelletized dry ice, but we could only open that container for 3 minutes. So we had to be very quick to be able to transfer the vaccine needed out of that container, seal it back up before it would lose its coolness. So this product must be thawed for 30 minutes at room temperature. And as you see the video at the end, that's critical in the timing of the sequence you see in the video, that everything had to work just right to be able to do what we accomplished on live TV. But once thawed, it's stable for 5 days in the refrigerator. Once it's removed from the refrigerator, it must be used within 6 hours, or if the vial is punctured, it must be used within 6 hours. So it is stable at room temperature. However, this product must be diluted and reconstituted prior to use. It must be reconstituted within 2 hours once it's thawed. And again, this is shipped in trays of 195 vials. Compared to the Moderna vaccine, this is a 0.5 ml dose given 28 days apart. At Uofl, we currently have 4 administration locations. We're administering vaccine at University Hospital, Jewish Hospital, and we have a drive-through location at Brook Street. And today we brought up vaccination for employees at Mary Elizabeth Hospital. So on each of our vaccination teams, we have a pharmacist to not only prepare the doses. Now that we've moved into the phase where we have multiple vaccines, we want to make sure that we're administering the correct dose. You saw before the Pfizer vaccine is a 0.3 ml dose. The Moderna vaccine is 0.5 ml. 0.5 ml is the customary dose for seasonal flu vaccine. So many nurses are accustomed to giving a 0.5 ml vaccine dose. So again, there's an opportunity for misadventure. So we have pharmacists available to make sure that everything is safe. The The Moderna vaccine can provide 10 doses per vial, but last night the FDA provided approval for us to draw an 11th dose from the vial. The challenge is the Moderna vials are shipped with 3 ml syringes, and the only way to draw 10 doses per vial is to use a 1 ml syringe. Additional challenge for us here in the US, there's currently, or as a result, a medical grade plastics shortage. So syringes are going to become in short supply. It's going to be an additional challenge for us to even be able to inject the vaccine to millions of people over the coming months. The advantage to the Moderna vaccine, it requires conventional freezer storage, not the ultra low temperature freezers used for the Pfizer vaccine. This product must be thawed for 60 minutes at room temperature. However, it has extended stability for 30 days under refrigeration. And again, it must be used within 6 hours after the vial has been punctured when used at room temperature. The advantage here, it's shipped in cartons of 10. So each carton can provide 100 doses. A little information about the Oxford AstraZeneca product that's been approved for use in the UK. This is using a chimpanzee adenovirus vector. The challenge with an adenovirus, as I mentioned before, it causes, or can cause the common cold, flu. If a patient has already been exposed to an adenovirus, they may not really react when given this vaccine. So that's why a chimpanzee adenovirus is used as the vector for this virus. So currently, it's being studied in the UK, South Africa, and Brazil. The US studies should be completed in September of this year. During the initial trials, only 2 patients were hospitalized with COVID-19. 1 patient was admitted the day of injection, and then 1 patient 10 days following the injection. This is currently a 2-dose regimen with a 28-day interval. It was interesting during the study, it looks like a mistake happened where only a half dose was provided to certain patients. And it was interesting that the patients who received 2 full doses, their effective rate was about 62%. However, in the patients who received a half dose and the standard dose, the effective rate became closer to 90%. So interesting with these studies, these involved healthcare workers on 3 continents. Healthcare workers being generally younger females, we had only about 12% of the patients who were in the 60, 70 age range. So it's difficult to really translate these trials for the US. However, in the UK, they're using an interval of 12 weeks to help stretch this vaccine. So some concerns about vaccine use have been whether it can be used for patients who are pregnant or lactating. So actually, it's considered that COVID-19 is more dangerous itself and often fatal in populations such as our minority populations. So therefore, the risk of COVID-19 is greater than that of receiving the vaccine. For pediatric use, the Moderna vaccine was only studied in patients 18 years of age or older. The Pfizer vaccine was studied in age 16 and above. So we really don't have any clinical trials involving pediatric patients. Regarding allergies, it's recommended that patients who have previously had an anaphylactic reaction proceed with caution, or if receiving a vaccine, that they be monitored for at least 30 minutes. In all of our vaccination locations, we maintain EpiPens so we can immediately treat allergic reactions. I've had people ask if they have seasonal allergies. That's not a contraindication to receiving the COVID vaccine. However, for patients who've received other vaccinations, they are to defer for at least 2 weeks. We have evolving information even since I created this slide. Originally, we were told that patients who had COVID-19 infection would have to defer for 90 days before receiving the vaccine. So this week, FDA now considers this to be a relative contraindication, meaning that this is a personal decision or a decision that should be made with the individual's physician, whether they should receive the COVID-19 vaccination. In our experience, the first dose it really has little to no side effects. However, with the boost of the second dose of the immune system, people are often having body aches, fever, flu-like symptoms for the first 24 hours following their second dose. And for those patients who've received a monoclonal antibody to treat COVID-19, there is a 90-day deferral period. So you've heard in the news that there have been challenges. The feds say, hey, we're providing vaccine. It's a problem at the state level. So this week, the state of Kentucky has revised the plan. As we discussed before, I covered a phased plan approach for vaccinations. So the plan for Kentucky is phase 1. That's where we are now, vaccinating nursing home staff and residents, those also in assisted living facilities, and all healthcare workers. So we're not distinguishing between a person working in lab, pharmacy, housekeeping, dietary, or a neurosurgeon. Anyone in the healthcare facility is now phase 1. Phase 1B includes our first responders and anyone 70 years of age or greater, and will also include school staff, K through 12. So not only teachers, but anyone who works within a school. The state has estimated there are about 120 employees per school. This includes both public, private schools. A plan will be developed by the state of Kentucky, working with each individual county to provide vaccination to school staff. That's not to say that the hospitals will not assist, but this will be a county by county plan. So phase 1C will include patients 60 years of age or older, or those 16 years of age or older with the highest risk of COVID-19 as defined by CDC, and all essential workers. So this is a broad brush. Many essential workers, from those working in food service, grocery stores, to air traffic controllers. These are essential workers. Then moving into phase 2 would be those 40 years of age and greater. Phase 3, those greater than 16 years of age. And then moving into phase 4, those younger than age 16, which represent about 18% of the Kentucky population. So we expect to be able to move into phase 1B by the 1st of February. So here at Uofl, we're gearing up to provide as many as 6,000 vaccinations per week. That's about 1,000 doses per day, 6 days a week at all of our locations, and we'll continue to expand our vaccination locations. In addition to our 12,000 employees, we also have the dental school, the medical school, nursing school, and university campus. So we're still trying to figure out how to accommodate everyone. So next week, and as I mentioned, I was communicating with the state at 8 o'clock last night. I should have 14,100 doses of COVID vaccine to be delivered by the end of next week. And just refer this if there are any questions about the two different vaccination plans. Just remember, this is the new Kentucky Revised Plan. We're not using the Fed plan, and each individual state has its own vaccination plan. So we can't really look across the line and say, well, this is what they're doing in Indiana. This is our Kentucky plan. So some frequently asked questions. When can I get vaccinated? So the answer is as soon as possible. As soon as you're within the phase group and vaccine becomes available, you should seek that vaccine. And what if I want a specific vaccine? What if I want the Pfizer vaccine, or if I want the Moderna vaccine? Unfortunately, logistics don't allow us to be able to accommodate those requests. Really, you just need to get a shot in the arm as soon as possible. So how much does the vaccine cost? It's provided free to everyone in the United States. However, we can charge an administration fee for the vaccine. And can I take multiple vaccines? For example, can I start out with a Pfizer vaccine and have my second dose be a Moderna vaccine? Well, the answer is no. We should continue with the same dose regimen. So to help facilitate that, once we register a patient for the first dose, we're automatically registering them for the second dose at the same location. So we really can't accommodate people starting at one place and following up at another location. However, when we get into phases 3 and beyond, local stores like Walgreens might be able to accommodate a patient receiving one dose at one of their stores and the second dose at another one of their stores. That's probably the most flexibility that we would have in that. So what if I miss the second dose? So presently we have about a 2-day window. You can get it 2 days early or 2 days late. There's a little wider interval depending on the particular vaccine. But the answer is, if you miss the exact day, get it as soon as possible. So for example, with the Pfizer vaccine, it's about 52% effective after the first dose. It's about 95% effective after the second dose. So if I take the vaccine, can I still get COVID-19? And that is yes. As I mentioned, in one of the trials, patients developed COVID-19 the day of injection. We've had other people who've contracted COVID-19 within the first week of receiving the vaccine. So it's still important after receiving the vaccine to continue to wear masks, practice social distancing, hand hygiene. And remember, this is not 100%. You may compare it to a seasonal flu vaccine. You may still get COVID-19, but you shouldn't be as sick for as long, and you shouldn't require hospitalization should you contract COVID-19 following the vaccination. And will COVID-19 vaccine last a lifetime? We really don't know that. We don't have long-term studies. It's been postulated early on that it may be effective for 6 months or beyond and may require an additional dose each year. It could potentially be incorporated into a seasonal vaccine given in subsequent years. So I have a 2-minute video coming up, and hope I can launch it.
Today is a truly great day in the Commonwealth. A historic day, a day that we have hoped and prayed for over 9 months of sacrifice, of pain, and of loss. We are here this morning at the University of Louisville Hospital to mark the true beginning of the end of this pandemic. Well, it starts here, it spreads out across this country and across this world. Today, we'll have our first 5 healthcare workers vaccinated, but it is just the start. For the very first time, we are vaccinating Kentuckians against COVID-19, and that is a very positive step, and it is the best news that we have had since the very start of this pandemic.
We're just 5 people, but we represent the healthcare workers within the state and across the nation who've really been working tirelessly to provide the best care possible for everyone who comes through every one of our hospitals, be it Uofl Health, be it at the other hospitals within the Commonwealth, or be it the hospitals across the country. We are all in this together from the very beginning. We have all sacrificed. We've taken time away from our families. We've taken time away from our friends. Our lives, our children's lives have been disrupted. Today is the beginning of the end for hopefully this pandemic. All right, I'd like to invite Sean Scott up, Dr. Valerie Briones-Pryor, Beth Sum, Dr. Mohammed Saad.
I just lost my 27th patient today. The vaccine I took today was for her family and for the other 26 that I've lost.
Hopefully by this time next year, this will all be behind us and we'll be able to be back to something more normal as far as our daily lives are concerned. Our kids will be back in school. Our stores and restaurants are going to be open. All of the things that we cherish in our daily lives will be back to normal, and it starts today.
Thank you, Bob, for your incredibly informative presentation. I know everybody around the screen is just so grateful for your presentation, and please know how much we appreciate you and your colleagues for your dedication, your service, and for the inspiration that we just ended with. It's just really remarkable, and we're so grateful. So thank you very much. I want to let everyone know that his presentation will be on our website. If you want to share that with others who weren't able to be on the call, or maybe you have a family or a friend that would like to know more about Bob's presentation. So you can access that through our website. And then of course, Alyssa will also send that as a link next Monday. But again, we're so thankful, very thankful. And also to Paula, thank you for sharing about your incredible organization, also so inspiring. And to Dr. Charlie, congratulations, so well deserved. And you are an inspiration to all of us. We appreciate you as well, and just so happy to give you this special award. And Joe, thank you for your service. It's just been a fantastic meeting to start off our 2021. You know, our club is just extraordinary. And I want each of you all to think about who you might want to invite to attend one of our meetings to join with our great organization and become a member of the Rotary Club. This group is dedicated. We get inspired each week by wonderful speakers like our friend Bob, and in addition, the great work that we're doing in the community to benefit not only Louisville, but our whole region through our service projects. So be thinking about who to invite to the next meeting. We have another super lineup. We have Mayor Fisher will be doing his State of the City address next week. And our pre-meeting will be led by our own Henry Heiser and Cindy Sullivan, talking about Trees, Inc. So invite everyone to be thinking about who to share the information, and get the email address to Alyssa at the Rotary office, and she'll send a secure link so they can join with us next Thursday. So again, a reminder, the What is Rotary session will be held immediately following this meeting. And I just want to thank everyone for being with us, and happy 2021. We are adjourned.